I don't know if you guys saw the Apple new iPad ad. It's getting a bunch of criticism. They use like some giant hydraulic press to crush a bunch of creative tools, DJ turntable, trumpet, piano. People really care about Apple's ads and what they represent. We talked about that Mother Earth little vignette they created here. What do you think, Freeberg? Did you see the ad? What was your reaction to it?
Made me sad. It did not make me want to buy an iPad. So, did not seem like a good.
It made you sad. It actually elicited an emotion, meaning like commercials. It's very rare that commercials can actually do that. Most people just zone out.
Yeah, they took all this beautiful stuff and heard it. It didn't feel good. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good ad. I don't know why they did that. I don't get it. I don't know.
I think bad. Maybe what they're trying to do is the selling point of this new iPad is that it's the thinnest one. I mean, there's no innovation left, so they're just making the devices, thinner.
Yeah.
So I think the idea was that they're going to take this hydraulic press to represent how ridiculously thin the new iPad is. Now, I don't know if the point there was to smush all of that good stuff into the iPad. I don't know if that's what they were trying to convey. But yeah, I think that by destroying all those creative tools that Apple is supposed to represent, it definitely seemed very off-brand for them. And I think people were reacting to the fact that it was so different than what they would have done in the past. And of course, everyone was saying, well, Steve would never have done this. I do think it did land wrong. I mean, I didn't care that much, but I was kind of asking the question, like, why are they destroying all these creator tools that they're renowned for creating or for turning into the digital version?
Yeah, it just didn't land. I mean, Chamath, how are you doing emotionally after seeing that? Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah. I think this is, you guys see that in the Berkshire annual meeting last weekend. Tim Cook was in the audience and Buffett was very laudatory. This is an incredible company, but he's so clever with words. He's like, this is an incredible business that we will hold forever, most likely. And then it turns out that he sold $20 billion worth of Apple shares. In the
caveat. We're going to hold it forever.
Which by the way,
sell.
If you guys remember, we put that little chart up, which shows when he doesn't mention it in the annual letter, it's basically like, it's foreshadowing the fact that he is just pounding the sell. And he sold $20 billion.
Well, also holding it forever could mean one share.
Yeah, exactly.
We kind of need to know, like, how much are we talking about?
I mean, it's an incredible business that has so much money with nothing to do. They're probably just going to buy back the stock. Just a total waste.
They were floating this rumor of buying Rivian, after they shut down Titan project, their internal project to make a car. It seems like a car is the only thing people can think of that would move the needle in terms of earnings.
I think the problem is, J. Cal, like you kind of become afraid of your own shadow, meaning the folks that are really good at M&A, like you look at Benioff. The thing with Benioff's M&A strategy is that he's been doing it for 20 years.
Yep.
And so he's cut his teeth on small acquisitions and the market learns to give him trust so that when he proposes like the $27 billion Slack acquisition, he's allowed to do that. Another guy, Nikesh Arora at PanW, these last 5 years, people were very skeptical that he could actually roll up security because it was a super fragmented market. He's gotten permission. Then there are companies like Danaher that buy hundreds of companies. So all of these folks are examples of you start small and you earn the right to do more. Apple hasn't bought anything more than $50 or $100 million. And so the idea that all of a sudden they come out of the blue and buy a $10, $20 billion company, I think is just totally doesn't stand logic. It's just not possible for them because they'll be so afraid of their own shadow. That's the big problem. It's themselves.
Well, if you're running out of in-house innovation and you can't do M&A, then your options are kind of limited. I mean, I do think that the fact that the big news out of Apple is the iPad's getting thinner does represent kind of the end of the road in terms of innovation. It's kind of like when they added the third camera to the iPhone.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those, remember like when the Gillette
they
Mach
did the
3
5
came out and then they did the 5.
It was the best onion thing. Was like, we're doing 5. F it.
But then Gillette actually came out with the Mach 5. So like the parody became the reality. What are they going to do? Add 2 more cameras to the iPhone? You have 5 cameras on it?
Right. No, it makes no sense. And then I don't know anybody wants to. Remember the Apple Vision was like going to.
Plus, why are they body shaming the fat iPads?
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Actually, you know what? Actually, this didn't come out yet, but it turns out the iPad is on Ozempic. It's actually dropped a lot.
That would have been a funnier ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ozempic. We could just workshop that right here. But there was another funny one, which was making the iPhone smaller and smaller and smaller, and the iPod smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point it was like, like a thumb size iPhone.
Like the Ben Stiller phone in
Yes.
Zoolander.
Correct. Yeah.
That was a great scene.
Is there a category that you can think of that you would love an Apple product for? There's a product in your life that you would love to have Apple's version of it.
They killed it. I think a lot of people would be very open-minded to an Apple car.
Okay.
They just would. It's a connected internet device, increasingly so.
Yeah.
And they managed to flub it. They had a chance to buy Tesla. They managed to flub it.
Yeah.
Right? There are just too many examples here where these guys have so much money and not enough ideas. That's a shame.
It's a bummer, yeah. The one I always wanted to see them do, Zach, was
TV.
The one I always wanted to see them do was the TV, and they were supposedly working on it, like the actual TV, not the little Apple TV box in the back. And like that would have been extraordinary to actually have a gorgeous, big television.
What about a gaming console? They could have done that. There's just all these things that they could have done. It's not a lack of imagination, because these aren't exactly incredibly world-beating ideas. They're sitting right in front of your face. It's just the will to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the all-in-one TV would have been good.
If you think back on Apple's product lineup over the years, where they've really created value is on how unique the products are. They almost create new categories. Sure, there may have been a, quote, tablet computer prior to the iPad, but the iPad really defined the tablet computer era. Sure, there was a smartphone or two before the iPhone came along, but it really defined the smartphone. And sure, there was a computer before the Apple II, and then it came along and it defined the personal computer. In all these cases, I think Apple strives to define the category. So it's very hard to define a television, if you think about it, or a gaming console, in a way that you take a step up and you say, this is the new thing, this is the new platform. So I don't know, that's the lens I would look at if I'm Apple, in terms of like, can I redefine a car? Can I make, we're all trying to fit them into an existing product bucket. But I think what they've always been so good at is identifying consumer needs and then creating an entirely new way of addressing that need in a real step change function. From the iPod, it was so different from any MP3 player ever.
I think the reason why the car could have been completely reimagined by Apple is that they have a level of credibility and trust that I think probably no other company has, and absolutely no other tech company has. And we talked about this, but I think this was the third Steve Jobs story that I left out. But in 2000 and I don't know, was it one? I launched a 99-cent download store.
Right.
I think I've told you this story, in Winamp. And Steve Jobs just ran total circles around us. But the reason he was able to is he had all the credibility to go to the labels and get deals done for licensing music that nobody could get done before. I think that's an example of what Apple's able to do, which is to use their political capital to change the rules. So if the thing that we would all want is safer roads and autonomous vehicles, there are regions in every town and city that could be completely converted to level 5 autonomous zones. If I had to pick one company that had the credibility to go and change those rules, it's them. Because they could demonstrate that there was a methodical, safe approach to doing something. And so the point is that even in these categories that could be totally reimagined, it's not for a lack of imagination. Again, it just goes back to a complete lack of will. And I understand, because if you had $200 billion of capital on your balance sheet, I think it's probably pretty easy to get fat and lazy.
Yeah, it is. And they want to have everything built there. People don't remember, but they actually built one of the first digital cameras. You must have owned this, right, Friedberg? You're like,
I remember this. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was beautiful. What did they call it? Was it the iCamera or something?
Quick Take.
Quick Take, yeah. The thing I would like to see Apple build, and I'm surprised they didn't, was a smart home system, the way Apple has Nest. A drop cam, a door lock, AV system, go after Questron or whatever, and just have your whole home automated thermostat, Nest. All of that would be brilliant by Apple. And right now I'm an Apple family that has our all of our home automation through Google. So it kind of sucks. I would like that all to be
Actually, that would be
integrated.
pretty amazing. Like if they did a Crestron or Savant, because
Yeah.
then when you just go to your Apple TV, all your cameras just work. You don't need to.
Yes. And everybody has a home and everybody automates their home. So
Well,
just think,
everyone has Apple TV at this point. So you just make Apple TV the brain for the home system.
right. That would be your hub.
And you can connect your phone to it. And then, yes, that would be very nice.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine like the Ring cameras, all that stuff being integrated? I don't know why they didn't go after that. That seems like the easy layup.